Right.
The most important aspect that Jacob sort of touched on about the food crisis, I think it's something that people really don't know a lot about. Here in America, we're very fortunate because we control basically global economics that we haven't really had to worry about our food security. As the climate begins to change, that's going to change as well. Last year alone, there were 850 million, at the beginning of 2008, there were 850 million people worldwide who go to bed hungry at night. And with the series of droughts and the rising prices of oil, the UN estimated that 100 million people would be added to that list by the end of the year. That's nearly 1 billion people. And with our world population nearly 7 billion, that's pretty significant. 1/7 of the world population is not getting enough food. As the climate continues to change, there are going to be more and more of us that are going to be a part of that statistic.
Right. Anything else?
I got a couple of things to add. I don't know if you guys have paid attention to the election in Japan just recently, but Yukio Hadayama got elected, and he ran on a climate change platform basically. And so he got elected overwhelmingly, and he's saying they're going to reduce carbon emissions by 25% by 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, that's significant.
So yeah, a lot of the rest of the world's getting ahead of America.
I mean, all of a sudden China now is starting to change it too.
Yeah.
China's, I mean, starting to make America look bad potentially. I mean, if this bill fails in the Senate and we don't pass anything before Copenhagen, I mean, we're not setting an example for the world.
I heard China's building the largest solar power plant in the world. They're building a massive solar power plant in their desert, and it's starting. I mean, they're definitely going to get ahead of us on these industrial technologies, energy technologies, and that's really, I think, where the future of industrial, workforce is going to be, and we really need to get on that ship. And if we're not, I think we're going to fall behind economically.
Another quick thing, at the UN just recently, the Prime Minister of Maldives, I believe that's how you pronounce it, very small country off the tip of India, they're going carbon neutral by 2020. Yeah. I mean, a very small country, but still, I mean, he's making the dedication to go carbon neutral, and he's one of the countries that, they're one of the countries that's going to be potentially underwater in the next, couple decades. Right.
Well, I think we're about to run out of time. We might mention a few more things. We talked about the record arms exports. Just recently, Congressional Research Service said that sales of U.S. weaponry are up 50% this year to $37 billion. So we're responsible for almost 70% of the world's arms export. And we're exporting to countries including dictatorships, China, to Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. It's just unbelievable, some of this. I mean, even under Obama, it's supposed to have change, but we're still, doing things like this. I mean, allowing corporations to sell weapons to other countries. Do you guys have anything to say about that, or?
Yeah, I think that it's very disturbing because you hear time and time again on the news about weapons of mass destruction and nuclear armament of other countries around the world, and I mean, we're the only country yet who's ever actually used them on a population in World War II, and our weapons, albeit not nuclear ones, are also at fault for contributing to so many wars and the violence across the world.
And you talk about depleted uranium and white phosphorus that the United States military still continues to use.
Cluster bombs.
Cluster bombs.
Yeah, I mean, we're selling a lot of weapons that the rest of the world condemns. It just seems like we're making the world a more dangerous place, and we should be making it a more peaceful place in a lot of ways.
But on the other side, Obama got 15 people to unanimously vote at the UN to get rid of nuclear weapons. That's a very positive thing. So I don't think anyone's ever done that before.
There are some positive steps, so that's good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have something to say? Or?
We're facing a situation here in the United States where we haven't had control of our foreign policy for a while. After 8 years, the Bush administration, our foreign policy was really hijacked, and we're trying to go back to things being normal before that. But we've created such a mess for ourselves. It doesn't look like there's any way out of it. We bankrupt ourselves. 2 wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and having this huge military complex all over the world. And I don't think we're going to be able to continue to maintain that. And what the real thing to look for is after our global dominance starts to recede, what other countries are going to do. It's going to be a very unsafe world in the future if we're not careful.
Right. Well, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. We're about to run out of time, but we also, just in the news recently, we found out that Obama's renewing key provisions of Bush's Patriot Act. Some of the provisions, he's renewing Section 215 that allows the government to literally obtain any tangible thing held by a third party with a secret court order. About you with a secret court order, and the court does not have to be based on any wrongdoing or on your part or any suspicion that you've done anything wrong. Well, I mean, sort of the point is that he's renewing the Patriot Act after we heard this talk about change, and it's really disappointing on many issues. He's doing the same things that Bush has done, and I don't know.
It's undermining our Fourth Amendment rights, and the abuses under the Patriot Act for before are widespread and rampant, and it's been not only for foreign terrorists, it's been also used, for people here in this country and for drug offenses.
Let me grab this issue real quick, and I'll actually defend President Obama on this. I think he got into office, and I think he found out pretty quick that the President of the United States is not in charge of policy anymore. And I think what we're seeing is President Obama is having to be more realistic about who the real policy players are in Washington, D.C., and it's not necessarily our lawmakers anymore or the president. Where our government is at the mercy of powers more powerful than it. Corporations that really run the show.
As are Americans. The corporation essentially the American corporation essentially has more rights than the American person.
And we're almost out of time. There's an interesting thing in terms of corporations. There's a Supreme Court case right now it's actually talking about giving corporations more free speech, and what this means is that they're going to allow to spend directly on federal elections. So this is going to open the floodgates for corporations to dump millions and millions of dollars into our campaigns, and this is going to further undermine our democracy. And this is something people should really keep an eye on, because if this happens, we're going to be slipping farther away from democracy. But I think we're about out of time, so I just want to say thank you to all my guests, and thank you to the camera people, and thank you to our producers and directors. And thank you for watching there at home, and please join us next time for another episode of OmniVision, and we'll discuss the important issues that are facing our nation.
If I could give out the U.S. Congressional Switchboard number, that's 202-244-3121. Call your representatives, tell them you support the American Clean Energy Security Act, green jobs, clean energy.
Thank you.